On dictionary.com, the word unattached is defined as not connected or associated with any particular body, group, organization, or the like. My guest, Sara Diener, goes by the Unattached Athlete on Instagram. Why? Because that is exactly who she is. She is someone competing at the NCAA level, but not associated with a college or university. It didn't start out like that, and her journey to being unattached is a big part of the adventure and her growth. Get ready to run unattached with Sara Diener. Welcome to Journey with Jake. This is a podcast about adventure and how through our adventures we can overcome the challenges of life that come our way. While I expect you will learn some things about different adventures, this show will entertain you. Each episode will feature a different guest or guests as they share experiences and stories from the different adventures they have been on. Not only will you be entertained, but you will also hear the failures and trials each guest faces and what they have done or are doing to overcome the hardships that come their way. My goal is to take each of us on a journey through the experiences of my guests with the hope that you'll be entertained and inspired to overcome your day-to-day challenges. After all, it's not all about the destination as it is about the journey. Welcome back to the show. My name is Jake Bushman, and I'm the host of Journey with Jake. This show is all about overcoming challenges through adventure, and you are in for a treat today, as I had the chance to speak with Sara Diener and her journey and adventures as an unattached track athlete competing at the college level. Before we get to my conversation with Sara, if you have not done so, please subscribe or follow Journey with Jake wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you would also be so kind to leave me a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your shows, that would mean a lot to me. The other thing you can do is just share this episode with your family and friends. Also, Journey with Jake is now on YouTube. If you are someone who likes to watch the episodes, check out Journey with Jake podcast on YouTube. And while you're there, please subscribe and hit that like button. How fortunate I was to come across the Instagram account of Sara Diener. It is fun when I go into a recording and think I know how it will go, and then I'm just blown away by my guest and their story and how they keep persevering and overcoming the challenges they're faced with. That is exactly how I felt talking to Sara. If you like this episode, you will also enjoy episode 47 with Brittany Peterson about ultra running and dealing with injuries. Be sure and check out episode 47. Okay, let's get to my conversation with the unattached athlete, Sara Diener. All right, I'm excited today. I have Sara Diener on the call with me today. Sara, welcome to Journey with Jake.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah,
Thanks for
this
having
is
me.
fun. Absolutely. You're a runner. I love runners. People who listen to my show know I've had quite a few runners. Someone's probably rolling their eyes right now saying, oh, not another runner. But I love runners because runners are adventurous. They have fun. They're all about improving. And there's just a lot about runners that I really enjoy. I try to run myself. I'm nowhere near your level of running, but I do enjoy running. It's something that helps me mentally. So we're going to dive into all that. Before we jump into that, tell me a little bit about Sara, where you're from, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So, my name's Sarah. I'm from Draper, Utah. It's just south of Salt Lake City. I grew up there, went to school. I just graduated from Utah Valley University with a degree in marketing. Decided the next step for me is to travel the world. So, I'm actually leaving in 5 days to go travel for a few months, see things, get to know people, learn how to make dishes of food because I love food. And then I'll come home and get kind of serious, get my big girl job and get moving. So, that's kind of me. And I like to run. I love running.
And you love to run. Well, see, I like this. You're going on an adventure. You're going to go to
Oh, yeah.
Europe. And how long are you going to be gone? What's kind of the plan?
We're gone for 12 weeks. Basically, you can be in Europe for 90 days without a visa this year. Next year, it changes. And so we are staying 90 days.
Wow, you're going to do the full 90 days, make it happen.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Good for you.
Mhm.
Any particular places that you're going? You're just going to kind of hit Europe all over the place.
Yeah, we're checking out Iceland. We're checking out Germany. We'll be there for about a month, and we'll be in Italy for a month too. And then just hitting places along the way and weekend trips and whatever. So yeah, it'll be good.
Well, good for you. That's good that you're able to do that before, like you said, before you have to become a big girl and like get a big girl job and all that good stuff.
Basically, I'm just too scared to get a job, so
Yeah.
I'm traveling instead.
There you go.
That's just my
Very good.
excuse.
So Draper, Utah, big family, small family. What's your family situation like?
Yeah, so I'm the middle of five. So I guess kind of, I don't know. In Utah, that's kind of like average. In other places, that's probably big. So yeah, define it how you want to.
Brothers, sisters, both?
Yeah, I've got both. Yeah, one oldest sister, one older brother, two little sisters. I technically have three step siblings too, but we're not like, I don't know, we're not super tight. We see each other sometimes. So
Okay.
yeah, they're there.
You got a big family then. I mean,
Yeah, I guess
even
so.
for Utah standards, I would say, I mean, it's, yeah, you're probably average, but I'd say it's more on the bigger side. So that's good.
I like to think
Very
so
good.
too.
So you said you like to run.
Mhm.
Did you like to run since you were a little kid? Did you not run until you got to high school? What was kind of the background of your running situation?
Yeah, so I always wanted to dance growing up. I thought it was the coolest thing. My mom really liked sing and dance, and I was like, no, mom, I want to be ballerina. So for years, we went back and forth. She put me in sing and dance clubs. I go, want to do ballet, whatever. And then one year I was like, also I want to run. So I did a track club, not a big deal. And the year after, me and we had the gym mile. All my friends ran soccer. They kicked my butt in it. Like I was like, this is probably like sixth grade, fifth or sixth grade. And I was just like, I am not gonna get my butt kicked next time. And so I went home and I was complaining to my mom about it. My neighbor was there and she was like, well, I'll take you out and train. So I kid you not, my neighbor for 6 months, every morning, or every other morning, something like that, I don't remember, it was a long time ago. We'd go out, butt crack of dawn, before she went to work, before I went to school, and we'd run 2 miles. And I did not get beat by my friends in the spring. So that was like my first like exposure to running. And then I continued dancing and ended up not making the dance team at my high school because Utah is insane for dancers, and I'm just not a good dancer. That's just that's just how it is. And so then I joined cross country because I was like, well, I like running. So yeah,
All right. Well, I'm pretty impressed by the fact that for 6 months you went out and trained with a neighbor.
yeah, I think she's crazy, honestly. Like me, I'm like, yeah, kids have dreams, whatever. But like her waking up and doing that every day, she's like, she found routes. She's like teaching me stuff. She's like, I googled this online. I was like, she was awesome. Like I honestly attribute like everything that I am to like that moment. Because if she hadn't trained with me, I never would have like known about running. Really,
And
you
was
know?
your whole mindset when you were doing, and you're what, like 11 or 12 at the time, maybe
Yeah,
13, something like that? Yeah. So you're just,
yeah.
preteen roughly, doing
Oh
this.
yeah.
Was your whole mindset the reason you're doing is like, I'm going to beat these kids? Like, was that kind of the whole purpose behind it? Or was it like did you enjoy it? Like, what was it the
When
whole
you put
scoop?
it that way, it gets a little crazy.
Yeah.
But I think essentially I just felt like left behind because like my friends, I was like, why are they all able to run? I mean, like no one's running fast times, right? Like they're running like what, like a 7:30 mile. I ran like a 9 minute mile, and I think I was mostly just embarrassed that like my peers could do something that I couldn't do, and so I was like, I want to train so hard. And the funny thing is, like, they didn't think about it. So they had no second thoughts. But here I am every morning for 6 months grinding just to beat them again, which is kind of embarrassing. But yeah, it was fun.
But you did beat them. But
Well, one of them.
okay.
I just kept up with them. That's all I cared
Okay.
about. So
You stayed with them. And okay. Very good. But then you're kind of like, well, you still wanted to dance. You tried out for dance. Like you said,
mhm.
I mean, yeah, here in Utah, dancing's pretty intense. I've got a
Yeah.
daughter in dance, so I know how that kind of is. It's pretty
Oh,
intense.
yeah.
So you said, okay, I didn't make the dance team. Cross country, was that just like, okay, maybe I'll try that? Or was it just like, hey, I've ran before and I kind of enjoyed it. Let me just join the cross country team.
Yeah, so I'm just weird. I just wanted to run really bad. But my mom also told me when I didn't make the team, she's like, "Listen, dance is expensive. You got to start paying for it." And I took a look at the price tag and I was like, I don't love it that much. It's really okay. And so I was like, what's the cheapest sport I can do? And like I'm 6 feet tall. And so everyone was like, you should do basketball, you should do volleyball. But the cheapest sport was still cross country. And I did have that experience running. And so I was like, yeah, I'll just sign up for that, whatever. And it's like a $20 participation fee, and then you just buy shoes and show up. So it's a lot cheaper than dance.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. And I ran cross country in high school, so I
Oh,
kind of know what
awesome.
that's all about. I ran it
Yeah.
because I couldn't make the football team because I was too small and little, and was actually went to like one or two
Perfect for cross
practices, got
country.
killed, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'll go run. So yeah,
That's funny.
kind of the same boat as far as I couldn't do one thing that I originally thought I was going to do, did the other. So
That's
so
awesome.
tell me about the high school career. What was it like? I mean, your freshman year, do you remember your first race? Do you remember any of that sort of thing? Tell me about it.
Oh, yes, for sure. Even though I liked running, I was not a runner, right? So I show up to practice and I'm like, we're running how far? Like, just like so, like completely confused, right? And so I would walk mostly everything. It's like, why would I run? It's painful. And so my very first race, I remember we did like a 24th of July 5K, because in Utah we celebrate Pioneer Day and it's like a big deal to us. And it's like the second 4th of July, honestly. We make the whole July month America. It's great. So I was doing some 5K that morning on the 24th, and my one goal, I was like, I can't walk. And I remember I ran that whole 5K, and I came to the line like 29 minutes, 30 seconds, and I was just like so proud of myself. And like my team, because my high school was new at the time, so there's probably like 7 girls maybe on the team, maybe 7 to 10. And all of the girls that were there were like so supportive. And I just started being like, wow, like even though I'm like one of the slowest people, like I was the slowest person on the team and one of the slowest people in this like community race, they still were like so supportive of me. And so I was like, that is so cool. So my whole freshman year, I have like the time cards from my times that I ran that year because I print them out for you at the races. I actually ran 30 seconds slower on the same course after 3 months of training because I was not improving, right? I was just there for fun. And I had fun. It was a ton of fun. And track, I was really nervous to run track because people can see you the whole time. And that just like felt really self-conscious to me. I liked being like cross country. I was like, you can go run around and people can't see you. And if you have to walk or stop and cry, like you can, people won't know. But on track, like they see you the whole time. I went and watched the first track race and like watched everybody race it. And I was like, okay, I can try this out. And so I ran the 800. And again, brand new school. So I didn't run this like crazy fast time, but I ran like I think like a 2:45, which is like for the 800, which is a half mile. So it's like a little faster than 6 minute pace. And because our team is so small, my coach was like, hey, you're not bad at that. And I was like, okay, cool. And so I just kept doing it. And by the end of my freshman year, I was like racing on varsity. Again, small team. So it's not like I was fast. It's just that we had a really small team and I was like halfway decent. Like I could barely qualify to compete in varsity races. So freshman year was just like all about having fun for me and just enjoying the sport. So
The community of it, I love that. And cross country, that's the way cross country felt to me in high school. It was fun. Like we just had a good time, community of us runners, and it was a good time.
yeah.
Do you remember? So being a freshman, were you pretty tall at that point already?
Yeah, I think I was 5'11" at that point.
Okay.
I think I grew like 1 more inch.
Yeah.
Was pretty upset that I was 5'11", so I prayed every night that God let me be 6 foot. I was like, if you're gonna make me tall, at least make me cool and tall, not just 5'11". And I did grow another inch, and that was so grateful for that.
I would think, and maybe, freshman year, like you said, you were just kind of having fun, especially in cross country, the first half of the year and then track later. I mean, I would think being tall would have some advantage. I mean, the stride's a little bit longer, things like that. I mean, did your coaches ever say anything like that? Like, we got to use your stride or anything like that?
The only thing I remember my coaches saying is because cadence, how many times your feet hit the ground. If you run a faster cadence, you're running longer. And they're like, tall people have a really slow cadence. So I had one coach that would follow me on mountain runs. She'd follow right behind me, and I usually walked the mountain runs. They were a hike to me. So whenever she was there, I was like, oh no, this is so bad. She'd follow me on the trail runs, and she'd be like, come on, Sarah, you got the longest legs in the team. You can pick your knees up and hit the ground faster. You could be the fastest one here. And I was like, I don't want to run. I want to walk. So, but she was the one that kind of like pushed that. But otherwise, honestly, I thought of my height as a disadvantage to myself just because most of the runners that you see are smaller. And I think that's just because there's not a lot of tall people. But I was really self-conscious when I was younger about how tall I was because I was like, man, like my elbow is where their head is. I'm gonna give someone a concussion just for running. So yeah, I was self-conscious about it, but I kind of grew to appreciate my height and be okay with it. So
what do you think accounted for the fact that, you're just, like you said, you ran the same course and we're 30 seconds slower, whatever, in the fall when you're doing cross country after 3 months of training. But then you went to track and your speed was better. And your coach was like, hey, you did the 800. You weren't too bad at it. What do you think? Is it just being consistent? What is it about that you felt like, hey, by the time track was midway through or over, whatever, you were improved? What do you think that was?
I don't really know because honestly looking back, I'm like, I don't know why I chose the 800. I don't really know. Like I could have raced a mile. That's more like average for like a cross country runner to do. My only thought is that I was pretty lazy. And I thought to myself, what is the shortest distance? And when it's just 2 laps, it's a lot easier to run faster because you're not worried about like all these miles ahead. So I honestly think that I was just like lazy looking at it. And I still kind of am. Like when it comes to races, I prefer the 800 because I'm like, why would I want to be in pain for 5 minutes to run a mile? Like, let's just do this.
Let's go 2.5. Let's go two and a half.
Let's just go 2 laps and just call it good.
Well,
yeah, I don't know.
It's a funny way to look at it. Tell me about the rest of high school because you went to college to run. and obviously
Mhm.
you have to improve and be somewhat decent to go to college, I would think. So yeah, kind of
Yeah.
what kind of happened through, through the rest of high school? What kind of went on there?
Yeah. Gosh, yeah, I guess there's like a brief overview. From freshman year to senior year, our team went from 10 people to 250 females, 250 males. Like we were the biggest cross country team in the state. People don't run cross country.
Wow.
I don't know where these kids were crawling out of to come and join the team, but we just grew huge. People just like loved cross country and Draper, I guess. It's like the team itself changed a ton. And like that dynamic for me was really important because running for me again is always about the people. Like I felt so encouraged and supported when I was a freshman that like every year that I gained, I was like, man, I want to reach back and help the next person. And because that's like kind of the people side. And so because I liked track so much, sophomore year coming in, I was like, hey, I don't care about cross country, but it gets me in shape for track and I'm ready to run track. And so I just slowly improved. I just cut off time every year. And by the time I hit my senior year, my final 5K my senior year was a 1930 on the state course, which the state course that Utah used to have, is not the course has now, was the most hilly, highest altitude state course in the nation. So it was like, it's like kind of a big deal. I was like, yeah, go
Yeah.
me. That's a
Yeah,
good
for
time to run on
sure.
that course. I think I was 31st in the state. My teammate passed me the last 100 meters, and I was like, oh, tragic. But like, that was like, I was happy with that. And then track rolled around, and again, I just whittled down my time. And like in the fall, my coach was like, hey, like you're running decent enough times that I can get you a visit at UVU, because that's where he ran. And I was like, yeah, I'm down. Like I hadn't really thought about college running, but I was like, for sure, I'll go. And so it's kind of, yeah, I guess I say that like with the time side, like I just improved over time because consistency matters. But at the same time, I was dealing with a lot of injuries in high school, a lot of like just like lack of understanding, I guess, of my own body. So like I was anemic my junior year, which means I didn't have enough red blood cells, which means nobody caught when I was low on iron. Like you don't just get anemic overnight. And so that's definitely like was like a nutritional issue that I had to deal with. And then my senior year, because I was anemic and didn't quite fix it the right way, I got a stress fracture. So in between cross country and track, I was in a pool every day. So it just made it like it made it harder to improve because of those things, but also every improvement mattered a lot more to me because I could see that I was putting in more work than all my teammates were. And it's looking back, I'm like, man, if you just had some like basic information about nutrition, you probably wouldn't have had to cross train and suffer that much, but I didn't. So it is what it is.
That's interesting. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
So junior year, that's when you found out you were anemic. Okay.
Hmm.
It's so being low on iron. What kind of like what side effects does that have? Like especially at someone like you who's a runner, like what was it doing to you, I guess?
Yeah, you're just so tired. Like that's the biggest
Okay.
thing. Like it's gosh, I hate to say this. I'm a pretty good student, right? I was like cared about my grades and took AP classes and really cared. And I was sleeping in class. Like I was so tired that I would just sit in class and just I'd have to take a nap. Every class I had to sleep for like 15 minutes because I was just so tired. I'd walk upstairs and like every 3 steps I just feel my vision going. By the time I got to the top of the staircase at my high school, I couldn't see anything, you know? And so running was like it was like near impossible. Like I'd start running and I'd like like the day we caught me being anemic, I did this huge hill run with my teammate. And halfway up the hill, I just had to walk. Like I literally could not run anymore. We get to the top of the hill and she's like, you are so pale. And like I couldn't walk in a straight line. I was like kind of veering just because I don't have any blood. And so she calls her mom, she picks us up, drives back to the school. My coach is like, oh, maybe you should get your blood checked. Yeah, well, I should have got my blood checked like 6 months before that, but that's okay. I just had gotten to a really really low point. And I say that, gosh, that sounds rude. If my coach listens to this, like he was a brand new coach, he didn't know what he was doing. I'm a brand new athlete, I didn't really know what I was doing. So it's nobody's like fault, but it's just kind of like, gosh, like you can see the signs of that like months before you get to the point that I was at. So yeah, it was kind of unfortunate.
But yeah, but not knowing, and in the meantime, you're pushing yourself on these runs and things, and you're probably thinking to yourself, why can't I do? I've done this before. Why can't I do it? I
Oh, I felt
imagine.
so dumb. Yeah, because I started feeling the effects like midway through cross country, and I remember being like, I am working so hard, and it is harder for me to hit times like this year than it was for me to hit last year. But I know I'm in better shape, and so I just took it on myself. I was like, I'm not a good teammate. I'm not pushing myself hard enough. I'm not doing enough, and that led me to like wanting to train harder, wanting to, because you think when you're in high school, you're like the best thing I can do for myself is to, like eat really healthy. And when you're in high school and don't have information, you're like, I just need to eat lots of salad and just like have no sugar and just be really careful. So I was like pushing myself into that, which is like actually making it worse because like overtraining plus not eating enough makes you more anemic. So it was not good, but I just didn't have the resources to know.
It was a vicious cycle that you were in. Once
Yeah.
you found out, all right, I'm anemic. What do you start taking some supplements, things like that? I mean, what is it that is that kind of what helped get you back into the groove of things?
Yeah. You start taking these iron pills, they make you so constipated, and you just move on. So, yeah, takes a couple months.
That adds a whole nother thing to running, being constipated, but we won't go there.
It does. That's
That's great. So perfect. So you figured that out, but then you said you ended up having with a stress fracture. So between your senior year, between cross country and when track started, so you're kind of just recovering from that.
Yeah, because when your body doesn't have enough nutrients, it's going to start pulling from its storage places, right? And the biggest place that it stores nutrients is your bones. So when you're not giving it the right nutrients, it's going to start pulling that from your bones, and your bone density goes down. And especially being a female, it happens pretty quickly. And so, yeah, no surprise. And looking back, no surprise. Midway through my cross country year, my senior year, my foot starts hurting. I'm like, whatever, don't worry about it. I'm like doing these workouts and I'll have to stop halfway through and take off my shoe and hold my foot because it hurts so bad. But I'm not like,
Wow.
I need to take a break. That's what I need to do. I need to just calm down. And I just put my shoe back on and run the next rep, then take my shoe off and hold my foot, and then put my shoe back on and run. And I ran like some race in December out in California. And I remember I finished running it and I just sat on the curb and just like, again, took my shoe off, held my foot, just cried. I was like, my foot hurts so bad. I got an x-ray 2 weeks later. My doctor's like, yeah, it's a stress fracture, but not just like a chip. You like broke the whole bone. Because I'm an idiot. I should have checked this out in October, not December. So it just, anyhow. So yeah, from that point, I, got that stress fracture. I ended up training in the pool January through March, and then came back and was running track because you get better, your body does heal. So
I am amazed though, because here you are anemic, pushing yourself for however long, 2 months, whatever, 3 months, anemic. And then you got a stress fracture and you're still pushing yourself. So you've got a strong mentality about you. Maybe it wasn't the smartest thing to do, but you do have strong will, which is impressive.
Yeah, it's true. My doctors have always said, they're like, you're the type of person that you don't be like, please do your strength exercises. Please do these things you need. You're the type of person where you say, please stop. Like, just stop doing the exercises. Just take a break. And it's something I'm still working on. I think like that type of mindset's like really, it's a blessing in a lot of ways for your life because, I know how to push hard and I know how to work hard. And that like translates to school and to work and to anything that I take on. But it's also on the other side, I don't know when to stop.
Yeah.
That's what I have to work on.
No, and I like that because you're right. I think in life, sometimes you do have to just push through things. Sometimes there's tough things that, you might have a tough class. You got to just push through to get through to graduate. And then, but at sometimes too, if it's too much, you got to, take care of yourself. So there's both things. So I think you've got a good thing going that you have that mentality. And then I think you're learning from the other way. So I think that's awesome. So here's the cool part. You still, even with that, dealing with all that, you're still good enough to get into college.
Yeah, people would ask me like, oh my gosh, you run in college, you must be so fast. I'd always say that. I'd be like, you know what? I am the back of the fast pack. Like, you see the fast girls run by at state? I'm that girl in 10th place. Hold on for dear life. Like, I'm not leading the race, but I'm there. So I was never, and UVU is a Division I college, but they are not like, you've never seen UVU at nationals, right? Like, they're not like this like top placing school. But they're a really good school and a good community, and it's a great place to get an education. And I'd gotten a lot of academic scholarships to go there. And so when my coach asked me if I want to go on a visit, I was like, oh, for sure. I went on the visit, and these girls that were there, they're like, so like, what does your training look like? And how can I fit into your team? And I was just like, I'm so grateful to be here. This is so fun. And I really should have asked more questions because I think the lack of knowledge is what leads to like these really hard situations that I found myself in. But I was just so excited because I was like, man, like college running, people dream about that, and here I am experiencing it. So I didn't go on any other visits, any other schools, because one, I was injured all of winter and I didn't think that like a college would want an injured runner. So I didn't feel like reaching out. And two, I just didn't know how to. Like, I didn't realize that like I was doing shopping basically for a team, and like it was my choice to decide what I wanted to do or not do. So like I could have like visited other schools. Like there's a ton of schools in Utah that are great at running, and I could have done a lot there, but I didn't, just because I didn't know.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You've heard about UVU, you had a coach or something that knew UVU, so boom, that's kind of how you got introduced. Yeah, I do find that interesting because someone that you know as well, Cambry Wilkinson, that's what she did. She kind of put out the feelers to these different schools. So you kind of have to do that and put the effort out. But if you don't know that, you don't know that. I wouldn't have known that.
Right.
You do what you got to do. So I know you did run at UVU, I think your freshman year, but then you don't. And I know the thing that caught my attention was it says the unattached athlete. I'm like, what the heck is that? Basically, you're still competing, but you're not affiliated with any college, but you're still competing at the NCAA. I need you explain what all this is, because I was like, I didn't quite get it. If you don't mind, tell me the story, and obviously you don't have to say names, or I don't know why you only ran 1 year and did whatever. But anyway, let's hear your story.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So I moved to UVU, right? I just, like I said, my parents were divorced. I've got step siblings, right? And so I just didn't have a ton of support that year, just because it was kind of a rough year for my family. So yeah, like people talk about like their parents moving them to college. It's like, no, I just drove my little self down and moved my little self in. Like was like, cool, I'm in college, wow, you know. And so I just didn't like have like that sort of like support system in the back of stuff. And I think if I had that, I might have responded differently to things. So essentially, I started training with the team, and I've realized pretty quick that like the girls on this team, they're here to win. There's only 7 travel spots, and all 20 of them want those travel spots, and they don't really care. You know, that's what it felt like, at least. You know, it was just really it was really crazy. Like we were going on our easy runs at these paces that like you shouldn't be doing easy runs at. You know, and so people were recovering, and it was funny because I sit there and watch all these girls get injured, every single one of them. The top player on the team would always get a crazy big injury every year, and all these other girls were like getting all these injuries. And then myself, I started getting injured because, you know, I show up for the first workout and the coach is like, okay, we're doing mile repeats. We're doing them at this pace. And it was the pace that like the fastest girl on the team would run like a 5K in. And I was like, but wait, like, it's like, that's like really close to my mile PR. And we're going to do repeats of that. Like, what are we doing here? But he was just kind of like, keep up. You know, there wasn't like any like system for like, okay, I want to improve you as well. And this is what your level's at. And this is where you need to work. You know, and some people would say like, okay, well, that's your job to figure that out for yourself. But I felt like as an 18-year-old, like I just didn't have, you know, like I feel like I'm like sounding so ignorant and naive, but that's just stuff I didn't have, you know? And so I just didn't realize that. So I got injured really quick. And I spent like, I think I raced like one cross country season or one cross country race. And I spent the whole rest of the season like cross training. I cross trained through the winter. And then we came back for track, and I had 2 really good races. The coaches were like really excited. I remember I stepped off the track after my first race, and both the coaches were like, Sarah, that was amazing. Like, wow, like I can see why you're here, you know? And like I had some seniors come to me and they're like, man, like watching you start that race, like I can just tell you have like a confidence. It's like really awesome. And I can't wait to see where the season takes you. And I was like, yeah, this is gonna be great. But I also started taking some hard classes that semester. I was taking like anatomy and physics and other stuff because why not? And I just like stopped sleeping like completely. Like I remember my first like sleepless night. I just sat in my apartment, just stared at a wall, and I was like, "What is wrong with me? Like I don't know what's going on." So I just was, and then very soon thereafter, I got injured because I'm not sleeping. So then I'm this freshman in college with like a very small support system, feeling like I'm on this team that only cares about you if you're the fastest runner on the team. I'm not sleeping and I'm injured. I'm not even doing what I love. I was like, this sucks. This is the worst thing ever, you know? And at the time too, it's pretty common in like the religion that I'm a part of for people to go serve like a mission for like our church, and girls serve about 18 months, guys serve about 2 years. And I'd never wanted to go on one because I thought to myself, why would I ever do that? But like at this time, I started feeling these like, I started getting like inspiration, I would say from God, that like you need to go serve a mission. And it felt like the perfect way to say like, I need a break. You know, I was like, I can't do this anymore. This lifestyle is not working for me. Like, I can't do this. So freshman year ends, and I'm sitting down with the coach in the final interview. I think I've sat down with him maybe like once or twice the whole year. He's busy, but he didn't really take time to like get to know people one on one. Like you kind of had to go to him, you know. And we're sitting down, and he's like, "Yeah, Sarah, like you've had a pretty tough year, but you know the seniors tell me that like you really love to train and you're training hard with your cross training, and like I see a future of like you being here at UVU. Like there's totally a spot for our team, for you on our team when you come home after 18 months." And I just looked at him and I started crying. I was just like, I don't know if I want that.
Yeah.
He was like, that's okay. Like, go figure it out. And I was like, okay, bye. And just like left, you know, like what else am I supposed to do? So I went home, relearned how to sleep that summer, did a lot of stuff to like figure that out, and went on this mission. And every day I woke up and I'd look at, because when you're out there serving your mission, for safety reasons, you're with a companion at all times. And so I'd look at my companion every day when he woke up and I'd say, should I run for UVU again? And they'd be like, please shut up. Can we just teach the gospel? But it was all I could think about because running has always meant so much to me, you know? And I felt like I felt stupid for walking away from such an awesome opportunity. Like I knew, you know, that D1 runners or D1 athletes are like, they're like a different breed. Like they're so cool. And I was like, how could I walk away from that? You know, like that's so dumb of me. But I just was not like, I was not healthy there at all. So I was just so nervous about it. So I'm asking my companions all the time. I'm praying about it all the time to God. I'm like, what am I supposed to do here? And at the very end of my mission, okay, this is COVID, by the way. So
Okay.
we're not walking around. We're sitting. As missionaries, we're doing a lot of outreach online.
And where did you serve your mission?
Atlanta, Georgia. So I stayed in
Atlanta,
the
Georgia.
States.
Okay.
Which was nice because then there's a lot of craziness that happened for other people. So this is COVID. I'm sitting on my phone all day, and somehow I break my foot. Like I break this itty bitty little bone. It's called your sesamoid. Like if this is my foot, it sits at the base of your big toe.
Sesamoid.
Yeah, they're teeny. You don't break your sesamoid, okay? Like they're this teeny little bones. They're like mini kneecaps in your big toe joint that just kind of help with tension. And I break it. How? I don't know. I wasn't like walking. I wasn't running. I was sitting in my apartment. And they're awful to heal because they're buried in tendons. There's no blood flow. So blood is what heals stuff. There's no blood flow. It's not going to heal. So I break this sesamoid and I'm put in a boot. And it's like, I wear the boot for the last 9 weeks of my mission. And I'm living with this girl at the time who was like, hey, my brother runs for a club team in Provo. You should hit them up when you get home. Like, if you don't want to run for UVU, that's an option. I was like, cool, okay. So I come home. I go to the doctor. Doctor's like, yeah, you've worn a boot for 9 weeks. There's been no healing. I was like, awesome. That's great. Thank you so much. You know,
Wow.
and I sat there with that and I was like, okay, if I have this sesamoid injury, which I don't know much about and nobody else really seems to either, you'll go see the PT and be like, I need to heal my sesamoid. They'll be like, your sesamoid, where's that? Like people just don't know things about it, you know?
It's
So
my
like,
first time ever
like,
hearing that word, sesamoid. So
yeah, no, it's awful. It says wood because it's like a sesame seed, right? So it's really small. It's a teeny bone. But I'm sitting with my doctor and I'm like, man, like if this is like my new reality that I have this really weird new injury, there is no way that I can go train on UVU's team. Like a team that does not care about your body, that is just there to push you to your absolute limit to see how fast you can get, not caring about like your extended like running career, but mostly just what they can squeeze out of you in 4 years. It's like I can't be there anymore. It's like that's not something I can do. So in a lot of ways, looking back, I feel like it was a big blessing that I broke my foot because one, it made me change how I was training. Again, I'm crazy and I like to do a ton. And with this injury, I was like, okay, like I can't do that much anymore. So how am I going to change? Like, how am I going to do less to support my body? Because now my body's different than anybody else's body, right? So it was helpful there. And then two, I was like, I can't train on that team. And it was just like a really big like answer to me. I was like, cool, well, I can't go back like physically. So I'm going to find something else. I hit up the club team. They're a club out of BYU, Brigham Young University, which is the other university in Provo. It's like, they're like 5
right
miles
next to
apart.
each other. Yeah, if that.
Yeah. They're really close. Brigham Young has a fantastic cross country and track and field team. Like they go to nationals every year. They're amazing. They just sent 6 Olympians to the Olympics. You know, people medaled. I think they had a few medalists from like they're amazing. So they have this club team for people to train on just because so many people love running in the community. So yeah, so I hit up the coach. I was like, hey, I don't go to your school, but I love running and I really want to run with you. And he's like, yeah, like running's for everyone. Come join. And I was like, great. So that's how I found the club. And from there, I healed my sesamoid, yada, yada, yada. The rest is history, kind of. But that's the full long story of why I loved UVU. That was long.
Well, no, and I appreciate it because it gave me the background on it. Few things that you said that kind of really jumped out to me. First of all, when you first went to UVU, you just didn't have the support that, your parents were going through a divorce, things were happening. And you're such a positive person. Like you're here talking to me and you're smiling and I can tell you're real positive. Did you have moments though where it was a little bit, were you frustrated? Do you have those moments where you're kind of down in the dumps a little bit, not feeling the support as much and just kind of, it's your freshman year, you're kind of on your own. What was that like?
I just didn't think about it. I think it was later that I realized how weird that was. When I drove my car with all my crap to Orem, it's only like a 30-minute drive, like for the people listening. It's not that far. But like when I just drove all my crap to my apartment and just moved it in, I was like not even thinking about it. I was like, yeah, like whatever, I'm just moving my stuff in. That year also my mom, this is terrible. She fell off a ladder and shattered her ankle. And so she couldn't come visit me because she couldn't walk upstairs. My apartment was upstairs. So she never entered I don't think she ever went inside my freshman year apartment like one time just because like she was busy dealing with stuff and then like her foot was broken. And I think just like I was just like the right age where I was just kind of like, okay, cool, like things happen that are hard. You just pick up and keep moving. And so I just didn't, I think like now I'm like processing like, oh wow, like that was like really
Yeah.
a normal, like, yeah, it was crazy. I don't know how you did that, but back in the day I was just kind of like, yeah, we're here, we get it done, keep moving, keep walking.
Yeah.
So
I like the fact too that you kind of started getting that inkling to maybe I should serve a mission. You had no plans to. You kind of started getting that. I feel like that was a blessing for you because I feel like you did need that break from that year of running and that year at UVU. I thought, hey, this will be a good opportunity. And you're out doing good things while you're serving a mission as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then, yeah, like you said, breaking what was it called again? The sesmoid, the
that's it.
sesamoid,
Yeah.
whatever. Sesmoid. Okay.
Yeah.
Breaking that, and the whole time too, every day you're waking up, hey, should I go back? Should I go back? Then it was kind of like, no, you're not going back. I'm going to break this sesamoid on your foot somehow, some way. And you didn't. Did you feel relief though when you kind of when that decision was kind of helped made for you that you weren't going to be going back? I mean, what was that relief like for you?
Oh my gosh. I was like, wow, thank heavens. Cause like I had teammates reach out to me and I got home. They're like, oh, are you coming back? And I was like, nope, I'm injured. Like it was really easy instead of being like, no, I hated myself at UVU and I became the worst version of myself possible. Like I didn't have to say that. I could just be like, yeah, like I'm injured and I need to take a different route. So that was really nice. And the mission, like taking a break from school and doing that 18 months, oh my gosh, like life saving. One, a break from running and all that, but two, like for sure you're going out and doing good things, which is awesome. And I think like people find when they do stuff for God that God comes back and blesses them like 25 million times more. And I just like, I think that having that break from my family and from that drama and from UVU, I was like I'm actually a pretty cool person and I'm pretty capable. And like these are all like my personality that I have. And like I really love being around people and I love doing all these things and I want to be helpful. And like it kind of gave me like a perspective for the rest of my life. So I came home and it was like, I can't run for UVU anymore, but I now have an understanding about myself that's so much deeper that I know that I don't need to be a D1 runner to feel good about myself. So like it kind of helped me like have the courage to step away and to like know that I actually was like a person, like,
Yeah.
instead of just like all these.
What are some of those things you found out about yourself, if you don't mind? What do you
Oh
think?
gosh. I think the biggest thing, because I think just like growing up and like just like the situation that I grew up in, like I just became very much just like a caretaker in my home, right? So that's all I kind of was like, okay, Sarah does all these things, that's who she is. So leaving that and like going on my mission and realizing like, oh no, like Sarah, you're not just like this boring, has to take care of everything anxious person. You're like fun. Like you tell a joke, people laugh. Like you enjoy being around people. I ended up doing a lot of like I helped my mission president a ton with like helping out with other sister missionaries. And I realized that I have like a pretty big like emotional intelligence. Like I joke all the time that I did marriage counseling as a missionary because I swear every month I was sitting down with these two sister missionaries that were companions that had been fighting and like we're about to tear each other's hair out. And I sit down with them, we talk through it for a couple hours and every month because with COVID, we got because the missionaries that were serving foreign all had to come home and they got reassigned to serve in missions in the States. So our mission went from like 100 people down to 90 when COVID happened to like 250. So there was just a ton of missionaries. And so just helping them organize and everything was huge. And so I guess I just felt more like I could contribute to society and I mattered and I belonged. And that was a big deal. For like a 19-year-old girl to realize that like that she has that sort of power. Like coming home with that, I was a different person.
Did your relationship with God not necessarily change, but what did it do for your relationship with God during that 18 months that you were out?
Yeah, wow, that's a great question. How does one even answer that? Um, so for me, a long time ago, before I even started my mission, God to me became a parent, if that makes sense. Because I was like, God, like I can't really. My parents are going through their stuff, so you're all I got. And so for a long time, I've been like, okay, like I take the name Heavenly Father very literally, as my father. So being a missionary, being out there, like I already had that foundation of a really strong relationship with God. And so I feel like to me, it was kind of like, it's almost as if like for years I've been like, okay, God, I'm struggling through this. I'm struggling through this. I'm struggling through this. I'm trying to push. I'm trying to push. And then I go on my mission and God's like, look at how amazing you are, and he's like, I made you, you're my daughter, you're my creation, you can change the world, and I was like, gosh, that's a mindset that can kill people. Like it's crazy what you can do with that. So like coming back, I almost feel like like when I was leaving my mission, I was thinking about what I want to do with the rest of my life and I was praying about it so much and I just felt God say to me like, go make a beautiful life, like go do that. I was like, great, okay. So I came home and just got busy because I was like, I know it depends on me. I'm the one that can make it. So I'm going to go do whatever I need to do that. And so I feel like every step of the way since then has just been kind of like God pulling me and tugging me along, showing me different things. I'm always the one that likes to go smell the roses and not follow him sometimes as much as I should, but like he's always there and picks me back up and we keep walking. So yeah, that definitely is a weird perspective for a 20-something-year-old to have
Oh, for sure.
about
Yeah, and
God.
that's why I wanted to ask. That's why I wanted to add, and I think it's admirable because someone as young as you are and just having that experience and relying on that, I think is pretty awesome. So that's very cool. So
Yeah,
thanks
he's a
for
cool
sharing that.
dude.
Yeah,
Yeah, any day.
very good. Okay, so you get back. We're going to jump back into the story again because the story is fascinating too. Because you get back. Okay, so you get involved with BYU's running club.
Mhm.
Awesome, Brigham Young University. Like you said, great runners, a bunch of Olympians, medal Olympians, the whole bit. Great program. How do you go about compete? Because you're still going to UVU as a student. How do you
Mhm.
go about competing? Because I guess I still don't understand the unattached thing. You're still
Oh
able to
yeah.
compete and stuff, even though you're not affiliated with UVU. How does this work?
Yeah, so basically, like colleges will host races, right? It's like UVU or BYU will host a race, and they'll just put on their website or the racing website. They call it, I think, direct athletics is what people usually use. They'll post on that website and they'll be like, we're doing a race. All these colleges will come and they'll pay like a team fee to like race their team in the race. But they're hosting a race. They want good competition. They also want a little bit of cash. So there's like an unattached option. So anyone can sign up. Like you, Jake, could just go sign up for a college race if you wanted to. Like you just go find it, find the link, click on it, pay your, I don't know, $15. Like it's pretty cheap for, running races these days. And you can show up on that line and stand next to all these D1 athletes.
That would
So
not be a pretty sight, that's for sure.
but yeah, so it's really like, and that's why it's unattached, right? Because I'm not like
Okay.
affiliated with a school and I sign up alone. So then I'm an unattached athlete. Um, and that name just felt pretty fitting for me when I was like thinking about starting an Instagram because I was like, yeah, like for me, it's a big deal that I don't run with the team and that I'm still training. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize that that's an opportunity just like you. And I want to kind of make a deal out of that and show that to people so they can still chase their dreams, even when college kind of can crush that for a lot of people.
And I know for a lot of people, running for a college is a great thing, right? I mean, there's some people, they go to somewhere and it fits perfect for who they are and what they're doing. So in a lot of ways, and that's an easier way to, not easier, but a different way to get it done is actually run for BYU or run for University of Utah or whatever and be part of that. But for some people like you in your situation, it wasn't the right thing. And so you did run unattached. What are some of the downsides to that? Because to me, it would seem like, okay, you don't have a coach necessarily. Did you end up getting a coach? Like, you know what I mean? You're running with
Yeah.
the running club. Is that it? Like, do you have to formulate your own plan? Like, how does this work?
Yeah, so the lucky thing about the running club is they've always had a coach. They one of the I don't know, someone at BYU was like, I want to help coach this. It wasn't a coach for anybody official listening. It was not like some like feed team for BYU. BYU was not just like pulling athletes from this club team then pushing them back down. No, it was very separate. But Provo is just a really big running hub, and BYU does a lot like even in like the exercise science world, a ton with like running and biomechanics. Like they've got a really big like study on that. So there's a lot of people interested in like because BYU is kind of like a mecca for like people of the LDS faith. Like anybody that runs the nation kind of will try to go run for BYU if they're a member of the church, right? So you just have all these people that are really talented and really want to be here, but there's not enough spots on the team. So other people step in and they're like, yeah, I want to coach people because it's fun. It's fun to watch people run fast. It's fun to watch people chase their dreams. So we've always had a coach, which is awesome. It's switched a few times. But someone always steps in because it's just a fun opportunity for them. But as far as like resources, oh gosh, you got nothing.
Right?
And that was hard for me. The first few races I showed up to, when I'm standing on the line and I'm wearing like my spikes from high school, which at that point were like 4 years old. And I know one, UVU is down the line for me. Like my teammates are on the same line as me. Two, all the other people here have trainers, coaches, free food, psychologists, study hall help. Like I had all these things. They have, we got so much free gear. Oh my gosh. Like that was so nice. I love all the stuff Yu gave me. Oh my gosh, I still use it. It's awesome. So just like knowing that like you're staying on the same line as these people was like so intimidating. And I felt for a long time like I didn't belong. I was like, Sarah, why are you doing this? Like, this is so dumb that you're showing up on this line with all these people that have way more resources and you think because you left UVU you can still run. Like that's dumb. So like it was really hard in the beginning. And so I had to kind of find like my reason why I wanted to run still. And that kind of got deeper every year that I kept competing. And now it's so deep that I don't think I'll ever be able to stop competing. So it's kind of a problem. But yeah, so I guess that's kind of like the resource side of things.
Yeah, so you had a little bit of that imposter syndrome. A little bit, it sounds like I'm getting up here to the line. I'm not part of any particular school. There's my old teammates right here. I got BYU right here. I've got Utah State or whatever, whoever is in this this race, and then there's you. For someone who's on the outside looking in, like me, the unattached, is there more people out there that are doing this than we think, or is it just one per race? Like you were the only one? Was there any other ones? Do you ever run into any other unattached athletes, I guess?
That's a good question. So my club would always send a decent amount of people to every race, right? So we'd take like 20 to 50 people. So it was nice because like, yeah, you're unattached, but I was still doing it with the team, right? I could look to my left and be like, that's my training partner. We're running this
Very
together.
good.
You know, so I still had that aspect. But then, yeah, we'd run into people all the time. You show up at a race and be like, oh, hey, like, you're in the unattached, because at cross-country races, they'll draw the start line, they make boxes. So it's like the unattached box is like the one on the very far end, you know, up in the corner. And you'll be sitting in that box with like another lady and you'll be like, oh, like, what are you doing here? And then like you meet, you start talking. And Utah, unattached running isn't super huge. In other states, it's pretty big. Like California, I've gone to races there and I was in the 800 this last spring. And I think there was more unattached runners than attached runners in the heat. And it was a fast heat. Like we were running fast times. So I was like, okay, it's Utah. It's a little less normal. And because of that, we've had some backlash. Some schools don't like us because they know we show up to their race and we'll race unattached. And they're like, we want you to be joining our team, not running unattached. So we've had some issues with some Utah schools, like figuring stuff out with races there. But every other state you go to, it's like, no, there's a lot of people that just will show up and train. So I just think Utah just doesn't understand that that's pretty normal in other states.
Because I wondered about that too. I wondered if people would be bothered by it or, you know, like, hey, Sara should be running for us here at Utah State. Instead, she's or UVU or whoever. Instead, she's doing it on her own. So I kind of wonder what the perception was of that. So that's interesting. I'm learning a lot just from what we got going on here. So,
and I will say, like, that being said, like the UVU coach and I kind of just didn't talk to him again, which is like not very mature of me. But when I showed up to races, the first time I saw him at a race, he cheered for me. He always cheers for me at every race. Like he's a very very good guy. So like even though like his coaching ideologies I don't really agree with, like as a person, like I can't deny that Coach Houle is one of the best people on this world. Like he's a fantastic man. So yeah, I have to say that.
No, good for you. That's why I'm impressed with you, because you, like I said, you got a positive way about you. You've had some things that you could look at it a little differently. You've got a strong relationship with your Heavenly Father, with God. So, and you're still competing, you're still running. Now, I know you just graduated, correct? You just graduated from UVU?
Mm-hmm.
How was the running throughout, you know, as an unattached for, how many years did you do that then? 2, 3 years?
3. I did 3 it for 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that? What was kind of the whole experience like?
I felt like I'd returned to my high school team. Like I was suddenly with the team again with people that were like super supportive. And these girls, like, my gosh, like you don't have any reason to be out there training, you know? So like my teammates I had, like, we're still really competitive. Like we're running times like that could be D1 times and we have no support. They're putting all this like work in on their own. And so I just felt so like supported, and I feel like I could give back with support too, because it's a running club too. It's like you have like me and a few other crazies that are out here, I don't know, selling their soul. And then you have, you know, someone who's like, yeah, I want to join a running club so I can get some runs in, you know? And so you have this like huge spectrum of people. And I just love that because running is everyone's sport. It's not my sport. It's not fast people's sport. It's everyone's sport, you know? So I loved having like the big variety and like the friendship and the family. It was kind of like the family community that I was missing my freshman year. And like that support, I totally found that. I ended up living with my teammates, like, you know, we like would room together. And I mean, there's nothing better than waking up, talking about running, going eating breakfast, talking about running, coming home from class and talking about running, talking to running before you go to bed. Like just all we did the whole day. It was my favorite. I loved it. So yeah, it was a huge blessing for me. And that being said too, I think the thing that like I kind of want to like prove to people too is that like you can still improve running unattached, you know? Like for sure it was less structured. We only have practice twice a week. So the other days you're on your own. But I was able to shave like a significant amount of time off my 5K and off my 800. I just because you know I'm crazy. I looked my 800 PR this year was faster than any girl on UVU's 800. You know, I would have been their fastest runner, which is kind of fun. You know, so it's like you don't like like people assume that they can only get faster and get better if they're with this D1 team. And I'm like, no, like running's always been about consistency and you should listen to your body first. And if you can't be doing the D1's lifestyle, because most colleges, I would argue most are pretty toxic. Like I think probably 70% are toxic, 30% are really good. So if you're in that situation, like you don't have to stay there. Like leave, still love running, still compete, still improve, and find a community that's way better for you. So
Finding the joy in running. I love it. I'm still running to this day. I'm very slow, but I love it. It's like, it's my morning cup of coffee. That's what I always tell people. It's like wakes me up and makes me feel good just to go out
it's the best.
for a run. You're talking some paces earlier. You're saying like 2.5 minutes for 800 or something. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like 10-minute miles here, but hey, I do what I can do, right? So all part of the fun. All part of the fun.
It is all part of the fun.
Yeah, exactly. What does the future hold for you? You're going on this little adventure. You got a marketing degree. When this adventure, this trip to Europe's done, what are you thinking? What does the future hold for Sara?
Oh gosh, so much. It's too much, honestly. It's overwhelming. The weight of how fun the future could be is crazy. So I started this Instagram account in March as my senior honors project for UVU because I'm in the marketing program. And it really was just kind of like a joke, really. It was kind of like, yeah, Sara, like I've worked in social media a lot. So it's kind of like, yeah, can I actually get followers? And so I've been shocked because like that first video I posted that you probably saw that's pinned to the top of my profile, when that got more than 10 views, I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I made some other posts and got a lot of feedback and heard from a lot of people. Like people were DMing me all the time telling me their stories. And it was really sad to realize that like my story, like my experience is like minor compared to things that people have experienced on D1 teams and D2 and D3, like NCAA teams all over. Like I just hear these like, oh gosh, they're like horror stories to me. The way people are treated, what coaches say to them, like, eating disorders developed and injuries that happened, surgeries that people had to go through just because of their team. So like that to me is like really like motivating. I was like, okay, like this page is no longer a me thing. Like my favorite thing has always been like the supportive community of running, helping teammates out, and, like being there for them. And so like I was like, okay, if I'm actually having an impact and helping people, I want to make that bigger. So I'm trying to dabble with like making a little club team called the Unattached Club. Crazy. Where we could just like have a supportive community, for anybody that wants to run, like any level, like kind of like the team I experienced at BYU, but making that kind of expansive for anyone that wants to be part of it. So I'm trying to get that up and running while I go to Europe. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but we'll see. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. And then yeah, I'm going to come home, and my goal is I love marketing. I love advertising. Like it's all about storytelling. I love a good story. Like it's great. So I want to work in brand strategy, and so I'm dreaming of getting a job in a city that's not in Utah. I know cities I don't want to go to. There's more cities I do want to go to than don't. Like, I don't want to be in the Midwest. Don't put me there. But anywhere else, I'm like, yeah, like I would love to go. And I want to work. I want to learn. I want to keep growing. I want to experience more. I want to run faster. Like, I'm still going to keep training and competing unattached, So, yeah, like life's
good for you. Sounds like you got a lot going on and you got a bright future ahead of you. You've got a great, what's the word, head on your shoulder. I mean, you just seem like you've got things going. I've been impressed.
That's kind.
I've enjoyed our conversation. What is the name let's tell everybody the name of the Instagram account, and I'll post it in the show notes and everything as well, but I just want to make sure everyone knows what it is.
It's too iconic. I really should have not done this to myself, but I'm the Unattached Athlete, no spaces. So
the Unattached Athlete.
Unattached, you can find me.
Trick is if you could spell it, but yeah, very good. The Unattached Athlete. Sara, this has been awesome. I've been impressed with what you've shared with us, and here we are. We've talked for over 50 minutes, which has been cool. So I love it. This is what I love about doing this.
Oh gosh, that's awesome.
Before we wrap up, one final thought. This is an adventure podcast. As a runner, that's something that's adventurous. What does adventure mean to you?
Oh, I think it's a synonym for life. Like, what is life without going out and trying new things and experiencing stuff? I get so frustrated by the people that like to do nothing. I don't understand. So I think, and that like running is that, like every day I get out and I explore my community and I get to run and see new streets. And I mean, going to Europe, it's all about the adventure. It's all about the fun, the journey, the excitement, the joy of it all. So adventure is life.
Adventure is life. Thank you very much. Sara, thank you for coming on Journey with Jake.
Yeah, any day. This is super fun. Like seriously, I love talking.
Thank you so much to Sara Diener for coming on the show and opening up about her experiences and her journey as an unattached athlete. I appreciate her honesty and the realization of learning about yourself and how to make yourself who you are. I'm excited to see where life takes Sara. Be sure and follow along with Sara on Instagram at the Unattached Athlete. Speaking of Instagram, you can also give me a follow at Journey with Jake Podcast. This is a great way to see some clips from the show and get to know me and my personality a little bit better. Thanks to each and every one of you for tuning in and listening to the show each and every week. Next week's show is wild. I had the chance to speak with Jude Krewald about his experience taking his bike, not a motorbike, mind you, just a bike, across West Africa and the amazing experiences he had on this solo adventure. In fact, there's a documentary out about his journey as well. Be sure and tune in next week. Just remember, it's not always about the destination as it is about the journey. Take care, everybody.